Azazel. A name that echoes through the ages, full of mystery and darkness. It's not just any name, but a symbol of something much greater, something that spans ages and civilizations. He is not just a fallen angel, he is the being who dared to defy the heavens, bringing humans forbidden secrets, knowledge so powerful that it changed the course of humanity forever. But what was the price of this daring? Condemned by the heavens, his story became a legend shrouded in shadows, an enigma that few dare to unravel. It is said that Azazel was imprisoned in a forgotten place, a prison so distant and isolated that no one could ever reach it. But is this true? Or is it all just a story created to make us feel safe, while he is actually still among us, hidden in the shadows, influencing the world in ways we don't even realize? What if Azazel is closer than we think? What if he is guiding events, shaping the destiny of humanity in silence, like an invisible conductor? The idea that he might be out there, acting in the shadows, is both fascinating and terrifying. Let's unravel the mystery of Azazel together. Is he really trapped in some forgotten place? Or does he still walk among us, watching, waiting for the right moment to act again? The answer could change everything we think about the world and our own destiny. To understand Azazel's enigmatic fate, we must first go back in time and revisit the moment of his fall. The Book of Enoch, one of the oldest and most mysterious texts ever circulated among the sages, reveals a story that resonates with mystery and danger. Azazel was no ordinary angel. He was one of the leaders of the Grigori, or Watchers, a select group of angels charged with keeping watch over the earth and its inhabitants. But these Watchers, destined to observe and protect, ended up becoming the protagonists of one of the greatest celestial rebellions ever recorded. Azazel, powerful and charismatic, led his brothers in disobedience. What could have led these angels, beings of light and purity, so far astray? The answer lies in the depths of human nature and the insatiable curiosity we share with these heavenly beings. Azazel and the Grigori became involved with humans in a forbidden way. Not only did they disobey divine orders not to interfere in the fate of men, but they went further, sharing knowledge that should have remained hidden. Azazel, in particular, brought humanity secrets that changed the course of history. He taught men the art of making weapons, tools of destruction that brought war and suffering to the world. But he didn't stop there. He also revealed to women the secrets of beauty and seduction, practices that, according to tradition, led to the corruption of the earth. And perhaps most dangerous of all, he introduced the practice of witchcraft, opening doors to forces that humanity was not prepared to control. These actions did not go unnoticed. The world, once pure and orderly, began to disintegrate under the weight of corruption. The earth, which had been created to be a place of harmony and peace, became a battlefield, where men turned against each other and darkness began to dominate. And then the heavens intervened. Azazel, the leader of this silent rebellion, was held responsible for the widespread corruption that spread like a plague. His punishment was severe and exemplary, so that everyone knew that no disobedience would be tolerated. According to some traditions, such as the Book of Enoch and other ancient legends, Azazel was cast into a dark abyss, a place of eternal torment, where he would be imprisoned until the final judgment. Imagine a place where light never penetrates, where time seems to have stopped, and where the only company is one's own memories of the mistakes made. That would be Azazel's fate, a punishment so terrible that even the angels themselves would fear it. But as is always the case with the darkest stories, this version of Azazel's fate raises more questions than answers. Is he really trapped in that abyss, awaiting the final judgment? Or is this just a story created to reassure us, to make us believe that evil has been contained? The truth is that over the centuries, many versions of this story have emerged, each with its own interpretation. Some believe that Azazel, with all his power and knowledge, could have found a way to escape, to avoid this dark fate. What if he is still out there, walking among us, hidden in the shadows, influencing the world in subtle but devastating ways? The idea that a being like Azazel, with his intelligence and cunning, could be free is both fascinating and terrifying. What really happened to Azazel? That's the big question. Has he really been contained, or are we living under the influence of his actions to this day? What if he's waiting for the right moment to reveal himself again? The Fall of Azazel is not just a story from the past, but a mystery that continues to intrigue us, to make us question what we really know about good and evil, and about the fate of those who defy divine orders. Let's explore these questions together, dive into the depths of this mystery, and try to unravel Azazel's fate. Because at the end of the day, to understand Azazel's fall is also to understand our own nature, our own challenges and choices. And who knows? Maybe we'll find answers that will change the way we see the world and ourselves forever. Imagine a vast, arid desert, where the scorching sun illuminates a landscape of endless desolation. There is no life, no sound, just the wind whispering between the sand dunes. In this remote and forgotten place, there is a legend that haunts the imagination of many: Azazel's prison. According to some of the most popular theories, Azazel, the fallen angel, was chained and imprisoned in a region known as Dudiel, a desert of absolute isolation, where he would await doomsday. But what do we really know about this mysterious place? And what does it mean for us? Dudiel. The name itself evokes a feeling of fear and fascination. A desert lost in time, where, according to ancient traditions, Azazel was cast and bound. The description of this prison is terrifying: an abyss of fire, a place where daylight barely penetrates, and where Azazel would be trapped, unable to do any more harm to the world. The image of a powerful angel chained in an abyss of fire is both tragic and terrifying. But is that the whole truth? Many believe that Azazel is actually imprisoned, contained by divine forces to protect humanity from his evil influence. After all, he is seen as responsible for bringing great corruption to the world, teaching humans dangerous knowledge that has caused wars, suffering, and moral decay. His imprisonment would be a necessary measure, an act of justice to ensure that the earth could recover from its fall. And so, the desert of Dudiel is not just a physical place, but a symbol of the triumph of good over evil, proof that even the most powerful beings are not above divine law. But can we trust this story completely? The story of Azazel being trapped in Dudiel is rich in symbolism, but like all ancient legends, it leaves room for doubt, for questions that remain unanswered. Is Azazel really imprisoned, unable to exert any influence on the world? Or is this imprisonment more figurative than literal, a way of making us believe that evil has been contained, while it actually still finds ways to interact with the world of mortals? Some traditions suggest that Dudiel, the desert where Azazel was supposedly imprisoned, is not a physical place, but a state of existence, a dimension where fallen souls are contained. This raises the question: what if Azazel still has a way of exerting his influence over the world? What if Dudiel's imprisonment is just an illusion, a story created to comfort us, while he continues to work in the shadows, manipulating events and people in ways we can't understand? The thought that Azazel, even imprisoned, could still find ways to influence the world, is both frightening and fascinating. If he really does possess such power, it would mean that the conflicts, wars, and corruptions we see around us could be, in part, a consequence of his work. And this leads us to a profound question: to what extent are we responsible for our own actions, and to what extent are we influenced by forces that are beyond our comprehension? The story of Azazel and his imprisonment in Dudiel is one of the most intriguing in ancient literature. It challenges us to think about the balance between good and evil, about the nature of punishment and redemption. And above all, it makes us question whether we are really safe, or whether hidden forces still operate in the world, shaping our destiny in ways we can't see. Is Azazel really imprisoned, awaiting doomsday, or does he still walk among us, invisible but powerful? This is the mystery that challenges us to look beyond the obvious, to question the stories we are told, and to seek the truth behind the legends. Because, at the end of the day, Azazel's fate may be more closely linked to ours than we realize. However, there is a current of thought that challenges everything we believe we know about Azazel's fate. What if he was never really contained? What if, contrary to what many stories tell us, Azazel could still be active in the world, free to act as he pleases? Some ancient legends and esoteric texts suggest that the account of his imprisonment is just a hoax, a metaphor created to divert our attention from the truth. The dark truth that Azazel, the fallen angel, was never really imprisoned, but rather left his mark on the world in ways we can't even imagine. Think about that for a moment. If Azazel is still loose, what would he be doing now? In the darker texts, some believe that he continues to operate in the shadows, influencing catastrophic events and natural disasters. Earthquakes, pandemics, wars, and political conflicts, all could, according to these theories, bear Azazel's signature, as if he were still trying to corrupt the world, just as he did in ancient times. But how could we know? How could we recognize his presence in a world where the supernatural is often dismissed as myth or superstition? These ideas raise disturbing questions. If Azazel really has escaped from his supposed prison, and still walks among us, his influence could be present around every corner, in every decision that leads to inexplicable tragedies, in every moment of despair that seems to have no end. Perhaps he's not just a legend from the past, but an active force, still trying to corrupt souls and divert humanity from its path. Imagine how frightening it would be to think that, while we live our lives, Azazel is out there, invisible to our eyes, but still pulling the strings behind the curtains of fate. If we consider the possibility that Azazel was never captured, the question arises: why would we stop believing that? It would be much easier and more comfortable to think that he is locked away somewhere, unable to reach us. But what if this belief is just an illusion, created to give us a false sense of security? After all, the fear of an invisible enemy, of a force we can't fight directly, is far more terrifying than any tangible threat. The stories we tell about Azazel are loaded with symbolism and fear, But what do they really mean? In some esoteric traditions, Azazel's prison is seen as a metaphor for the confinement of evil within every human being, an evil that can be unleashed at any moment. What if Azazel's real danger lies not in his physical existence, but in what he represents within each of us? A dark side, an inclination towards error and corruption that we all try to suppress, but which sometimes escapes and causes irreparable damage. This prospect is undoubtedly frightening, but at the same time, it makes us reflect on the nature of evil in the world. What if Azazel is not just a lost entity in history, but a reflection of all that is darkest in humanity? What if his real prison is inside us, waiting for the right moment to break free? This thought, disturbing as it is, forces us to face up to our own weaknesses and ask ourselves, are we really free from Azazel's influence, or is he still whispering in our ears, pushing us down dark and destructive paths? The idea that Azazel could be among us, free to continue his work of corruption, transforms this ancient legend into something much closer and more personal. Suddenly, he's not just a figure from the distant past, but a presence that could be influencing our present. And if he really is on the loose, how can we recognize his influence? How can we protect our lives and souls from someone who knows so well how to exploit our weaknesses and flaws? These are the questions that make us uneasy, that make us reconsider everything we believe we know about good and evil. If Azazel is still on the loose, influencing the world in ways we can't always see or understand, then perhaps the real battle between light and dark is still going on, not in heaven or somewhere remote, but here in our daily lives in every choice we make. And if so, what are we doing to protect our souls? Azazel's story is one that transcends time, one that continues to challenge us to understand the true meaning of his existence and his possible freedom. And if he is still free, if he still walks among us, then perhaps it's time to take a closer look, to pay more attention to the world around us, because the evil he represents may be closer than we think. Curiously, the figure of Azazel, although ancient, has never really disappeared. On the contrary, he seems to have found new life in modern culture, resurfacing in films, TV series, books, comics, and even games. But why is that? Why does this ancient entity, known for its fall and for corrupting humanity, still fascinate us so much? Could it be that these representations are not mere coincidences, but echoes of a hidden truth that many prefer to ignore? A truth that suggests that perhaps Azazel is still present in our world, disguised and mixed up in the stories we tell. Think about it. Over the years, we've seen Azazel personified in various ways. In some stories, he appears as the main villain, manipulating events and people to achieve his own ends. In others, he is portrayed as a misunderstood, almost tragic being who fell out of love for humanity. But one thing is certain, whether as a symbol of absolute evil or as a complex figure who challenges the celestial order, Azazel is a presence that doesn't fade easily. His name still resonates in our minds, and his legend continues to capture us, challenging us to explore the boundaries between good and evil. Is this modern fascination with Azazel just a form of entertainment, or is there something deeper going on? Perhaps, without realizing it, we are giving voice to an ancient force that still operates in our world. What if the representations of Azazel in modern media were not just works of fiction, but reflections of his true presence among us? If he were still out there, operating in the shadows, as the antagonist in a horror movie or the misunderstood villain in a drama series, it would be a perfect way to go unnoticed, while continuing to exert his influence on humanity. So why do we keep bringing up Azazel? Perhaps because deep down, there is something in his story that still resonates with us. He represents the danger of forbidden knowledge, the temptation to cross boundaries we shouldn't cross. He is the symbol of the rebel, of the one who dares to challenge the status quo, and of a force that, despite being banished, still finds ways to return. Perhaps this is why his appearances in popular culture are so impactful. They remind us that evil is not something that can simply be defeated and forgotten, but something that needs to be constantly watched, because it can resurface at any moment, in ways we don't always expect. These representations of Azazel are not just entertainment, they are reflections of our own fears and fascinations. Fear of the unknown, of what is beyond our control. Fascination with the forbidden, with the power that comes with knowledge we shouldn't have. And this is exactly what makes Azazel such a powerful figure in modern culture. He personifies the eternal conflict between the desire for power and the cost of that power, between human curiosity and the consequences of following dark paths. But if Azazel is still active, disguised in the stories we tell and the legends we retell, what does that mean for us? Perhaps, without realizing it, we are perpetuating his influence, keeping his legend alive in our hearts and minds. And as long as we continue to invoke him through art and culture, perhaps he will never completely disappear. His story, his name, will echo for generations, always reminding us that evil can hide where we least expect it, even in the pages of a book, the scenes of a movie, or the pixels of a game. Azazel's story is one that transcends the ages, adapting and surviving in ways that continue to intrigue us. And as long as we continue to explore his legend, whether on the silver screen or in the pages of a novel, perhaps it will be proof that he is somehow still with us, influencing the world in ways we can't always fully understand. So, as you watch Azazel's next appearance in a movie or series, ask yourself, is it just fiction? Or are we witnessing the trail of something much older and more dangerous than we realize? And so, after exploring the mysteries and theories about Azazel, we come to a fundamental question. What really happened to him? Is he imprisoned in a desert of fire, awaiting doomsday, or does he, hidden in the shadows of our reality, continue to manipulate and influence events in ways we can barely perceive? The truth is that Azazel, with his immortal presence, still provokes and fascinates us. His legend transcends time and space, reflecting our deepest fears and forbidden desires. Each new representation in popular culture, each story that tells his story, is not just an echo of the past, but a provocation to take a closer look at what is hidden in plain sight. As we continue to explore and question, remember, Azazel may be more than a fictional figure. He is the symbol of the eternal conflict between light and darkness, between the known and the unknown. And maybe, just maybe, the key to understanding his true nature lies in recognizing that, even in the stories we tell, he may be closer than we imagine. So the next time you come across a reference to Azazel, whether in a movie, book or game, ask yourself, is it just fiction? Or are we somehow confronting an ancient and powerful presence that still echoes in our modern times? Let your mind wander, keep your eyes open, and keep searching for the answers. Because in the end, the truth about Azazel may be as elusive and enigmatic as he himself is. And this search, this insatiable curiosity, may be the very essence of what it means to explore the unknown. So, were you as fascinated as I was by the mysteries surrounding Azazel? It's amazing how an ancient figure can still intrigue and challenge us, isn't it? Azazel's story is an enigma that continues to provoke, question, and lead us to explore the boundaries between the known and the unknown. If you too are eager to discover more hidden secrets and explore intriguing themes like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Activate the notification bell to be the first to know when new videos go live, and believe us, you won't want to miss out on what's coming next. Give the video a like if you found Azazel's story as captivating as we did, and leave a comment below sharing your own theories and thoughts. We'd love to know what you think and what mysteries you'd like to explore with us. And while you're here, take the opportunity to watch the other videos that appear on the screen. We have an incredible collection of content that will further deepen your knowledge and curiosity about fascinating topics. Thank you very much for watching to the end. Your presence and interest is what motivates us to keep bringing you the best content. Stay tuned and see you next time.